Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. My name is Donovan.
Hi everybody, my name is Gordon.
Today we're just going to be doing the roundup of the review of this last weekend's games. So I'm just going to go through the scores for those games. Then we'll talk about World Player of the Year nominations, and then we'll talk about the big game of the weekend, which was South Africa versus England. So the scores for the weekend was Japan 31, New Zealand 69.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Wow. Next game was Wales versus Scotland. Wales won the game 21-10, which is also a pretty good score. England versus South Africa. England won the game 12-11. And then the last game of the weekend, Ireland won the game 54-7 against Italy.
Sweet.
I know, those are big scores. It felt like the Japan-New Zealand game and the Ireland-Italy game was more like a
Cricket
T20 game than anything else. Look, I know the New Zealand side wasn't their full A side, so you could see why the score's pretty much higher from the Japanese side. But yeah, sorry guys, we've actually got rain here, so it might make a little bit of noise, but we'll try soldier on through. Next, we'll talk about the World Player of the Year nominations. So the nominations are Rieko Ioane, Beauden Barrett, Faf de Klerk, Malcolm Marx, and Johnny Sexton. So two New Zealanders, two South Africans, and an Irishman. Sounds like a bad joke. Yeah, so the start of a bad joke. But what do you think of those players, Gordon?
For the nomination?
Yeah.
Well, Beauden Barrett, he would be my favourite.
Is he your favourite?
Yeah, and he's a hard worker and he's proved himself, and he's a sportsman.
He is a sportsman.
He's not a bad example of...
I was actually going through the previous winners, and the last time a South African won was in 2007, and that was Brian Habana. Well deserved, but since then I think it's mostly been New Zealanders, and I think one year it was a Welshman. But it's mostly just New Zealand. I think Richie McCaw, Beauden Barrett, Brodie Retallick,
all good names in rugby.
Excellent players. Of those players, I'd probably don't all knock me all at once, but I feel Johnny Sexton should be World Player of the Year. He won the Pro 14 with Leinster. They won the European Championship with Leinster. He won the Six Nations with Ireland. So I think if I look at Beauden Barrett, he wasn't on the winning team for Super Rugby. I think they came third overall. Then Faf de Klerk, he's done pretty well. But I'd still give it to Johnny Sexton. Or Rieko Ioane. You know, I think it's 23 tries in 24 games, which is...
Gosh, that's okay.
That's exceptional. So,
try per game.
Yeah, almost a try per game. Well, 99.9%. But my money would be on Johnny Sexton. So I think he's 33 playing for Ireland.
Yeah, I'll stay with Barrett. I enjoy watching him play.
I think it'll be the third year in a row that Beauden Barrett wins. That'd be
fantastic.
That's seriously impressive. But yeah, now we're going to go talk about the game that we watched over the weekend, which was England versus South Africa. What were your overall thoughts of the game, Gordon?
Well, I wasn't really impressed with the play. I thought Malcolm Marx could have used a little bit more vuma. You know, he was the fear of the match by the English team. And I thought he could have done a little bit more. I don't know. I'm not a rugby player, but it's what I see and what the game presents. I just think he might have been a wee bit overrated before the game started. Then
he might have bought into his own hype.
I don't know, John, but I expected more. I expected it wasn't a fantastic game of rugby. I didn't really believe it was a good game of rugby. It was scrappy, and as far as that Farrell goes, I just can't stand the man for his unsporting type of play. He fouled our man viciously at the end of the game. When he got injured, or he's not a good rugby player, he's a good kicker. when he got tackled and he laid down, and you could see him looking back to see whether the referee was going to award him a penalty or not. That happened on 2 occasions. And even on the last occasion where he shouldered our guy, I have no respect for the man as a sportsman. He might be an excellent kicker, but he's not a good rugby player. He's a softie. He seems to shy away from mauls and tackles and things like that. And that you can spread to the world. That's my opinion.
Gordon, I think you should stop holding back and tell us what you really think of Owen Farrell.
Well, that's what I do.
Look, I'm gonna say, look, we all watched the game. I watched that last tackle, and look, I'm gonna be honest. It could have gone either way, in my opinion. It was a hard tackle. He did lead with the shoulder, but his arm was coming across. So it depends on what side of the fence you sit. Where you would, if you're English, you would think his arms were coming around, and if you're South African, you think he led with the shoulder. So I think these things happen in a game. It's just that it's exactly the same as when we played against New Zealand, and Nigel Owens didn't pick up that last penalty, which New Zealand would have got, and they would have won the game. So these things happen in a game. My personal opinion is that Handré Pollard missed 5 points on the field. I think Malcolm Marx had 3 or 4 overthrows, 3 of them in the danger zone, which is diabolical. It should never have happened. And at that kind of level, he should have been connecting with either Dwayne Vermeulen or whoever. But literally, normally, I was watching after the game, and you see Nick Mallett was saying there's only 3 reasons why a line-out goes wrong. It's a bad throw. It's too high, or it's the wrong call. And all 3 of those were, yes, I still think this was the wrong call, but it was completely over his head. All of them, you could see that Warren Whiteley was extended at full extension, and it was already a foot over his hand. So they would never have caught those balls. So I don't think we lost the game because of that final tackle. I think we lost the game because we didn't capitalize on our dominance.
We did lose the game fairly. That tackle had really nothing to do with it, because the final whistle had really gone, and they reviewed the situation. But that's it. England won fair and square.
It's fair and square. At the end of the day, you've got to say congratulations to England. They won the game on the day. But it made me think during the game. I think we play New Zealand quite a lot. South Africans play New Zealand quite a lot. Every year we get to play them. And I think we've been... To beat New Zealand, you can't... You have to score tries. So you have to kick for the corners, and you have to drive, and you have to score tries, because that's the only way to beat New Zealand, is to score tries. But when we're playing another side, maybe a Northern Hemisphere side, which play a bit more traditional rugby, when you get a penalty and it's in range of the post, take the points.
Exactly.
Don't mess around, because that's what England did. All 4 of South Africa's mistakes, they pummeled us, they kicked them over the things, and they won the game by our mistakes. So we should stop thinking about how we play against New Zealand and start playing towards the opponents. And kicking for the sides is just, look, if you're 20 points in the lead and you've got big dominance, then kick for the corners. Go for it. But at the end of the day, my personal opinion, you get an opportunity to kick over the post, take it. Especially against...
Points are points.
Points are points. With New Zealand, yes, you kick for the corners, you go for the tries, because there's only one way to beat New Zealand, and that's to score tries.
Well, I was a bit disappointed. I actually thought, well, initially before the game started, I had this inkling that England would win, and I congratulate them. And I was a little bit disappointed in our showing. The guys we expected to actually do some sterling work, it never got. I mean, our wings never got a run except
Cebu.
So they didn't get a run at it. It was like England were either defending very strongly and taking our guys down. They played a good game, and so did South Africa, but it wasn't spectacular.
It wasn't that free flowing.
No,
like we'd have a few phases, and there'd be a knock on, and then we'd have a scrum, and then it was a pretty jarring kind of game. And I also look at In the second half, South Africa's defence was shocking. There's a difference between defence and the difference between defence and scramble defence. Our scramble defence was incredible. You know, we were getting back up there, we were taking the players out, but our first line of defence was quite shocking. The guys were running up too quickly, making those holes, and it just seemed like the defensive structures just fell apart, and it shouldn't have happened like that. And coming back before the game, I was a bit concerned about the loose trio. I didn't really like Dwayne Vermeulen at 7. I prefer him at 8th man, and I was a bit concerned. But that try from Sabu Nkosi was a direct result of Warren Whiteley being on the field. He had quick hands, quick pass out. Sabu Nkosi scored. If it was Dwayne Vermeulen who was there, he would have run up. He wouldn't. His hands aren't quick enough to be able to do that.
The biggest loss to our game, our team, I would believe, and I think the results might have reflected South Africa win is Faf de Klerk.
Yeah, I think so too.
Busy, nice, hard player.
There's just too much of a drop from Faf de Klerk and Evan van Zyl. Even though Evan van Zyl had a brilliant game, and it's also a big drop from Willie Roux to Damian Willemse. Even though Damian Willemse had a good game, you know, you need that extra 3-4% that that Faf and Willie give. You know, it's just that I don't know, they just bring something a little bit more special.
You know how silly of our coaches and selectors and what have you. They bring a guy like Loop
de
Jager on like 5 or 10 minutes before the end of the game. He's a big guy, you know, they needed him. And that is so silly to bring what can a person do in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, it takes him 5 minutes to actually get the feel of the field, and the other 5 minutes.
And he hasn't played since March, I think. You know, so he had that shocking injury quite early, or May it was, I think.
And we had some very good players that should have been on the team that weren't on the team, especially a game of that significance and high profile as England.
All I can say is I'm a little bit disappointed. I think all of our players made one mistake or another. Some made more than one mistake. I felt that we were dominant in a lot of areas, but we just made mistakes at crucial areas. We didn't capitalize on the opportunities we created, and it was disappointing. From a positive point of view, I think we're getting to our centre combination. Delende and Creel are a really good combination. They're rock solid on defence, which I like. Andre Pollard and Delende are starting to communicate a lot better, so I think they're getting those lines right, getting through the advantage line or the gain line. So I think there's a lot of positives to take out of the game. And look, at the end of the day, we only lost by 1 point. You know, last year we lost 1 point against New Zealand, and we were the happiest nation in the world. You know, so we've just got to put it into context. I will say something now, though, that England are playing New Zealand next week.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I think I have a feeling that and don't look. I know there's a lot of English supporters out there, but New Zealand are on another level. And that game on the weekend, if any one of those teams went up against the New Zealand side,
they would be thrashed.
They would be thrashed. I'm not lying. And I think. I don't think anyone's really expecting England to win, but I'm fairly scared for England next week.
Well, here's my prediction for next week. Well, this week. All Blacks will win. Decisively.
Decisively. But how many points do you think?
I reckon by 10, 15 points.
Yeah. I think it might go up to about three tries more. You know, I'm talking 21 points. And I'm not trying to be rude, and I'm not trying to... It's just, if I look at the performance that was on Saturday, and I know what the New Zealanders can do, I think they're in for a hiding.
Yeah.
But like I said, stranger things have happened. Rugby's a strange game. Things happened on the day that we would never have called. Coming back to the South African game, even though look, I was not impressed with the reffing during the game.
Oh, yeah.
Not because of that last
call.
That last call. You know, previously in the game, Archie Snyman did a much worse clear out on one of the English players, and it was a yellow card offence. And if that wasn't blown up, then this shouldn't have been blown up. So pretty consistent with that kind of that physicality. My problem was with Johnny May's high tackle on Creel, and which was blatantly a high tackle, arm around the neck. Okay, that's say you missed that. Then at the same time, Johnny May was 2 meters ahead of this. Literally, he was offsides. You know, he was ahead of the breakdown, and you can see it, and it wasn't picked up. And I'm not saying that we lost because of ref decisions. I'm just saying we need to have a better reffing.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that there's more control with the ref now, and it's not always with the TMO, and that's going to have a few little teething issues.
Exactly, because the TMO, I'm sure, can see more than the ref.
But, you know, we've wanted it for a while, that the TMO has a more backseat role. That's what we've asked for. That's what we've been given. So we've just got to accept the good with the bad, just for a few weeks while they get used to that kind of situation. Because at the end of the day, now we just want the ref to look at the screen, make a decision, move on.
Yeah.
And that's what we've asked for. That's what we were given. And it just didn't go our way on that day.
Just something before I forget, Don, is we noted Sean Fitzpatrick there.
Oh, yes.
And my thoughts are, was he neutral, or was he supporting South Africa?
You know what I found so
England?
strange? Faf de Klerk was in the crowd.
Yes.
So he wasn't playing for his club.
Yeah. No, but I think contractually they wouldn't release him.
Yeah, but still, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd want your best team on the field,
Yeah.
and you want to beat the best team. And there's Faf watching the game from the stadium in a game that he wasn't allowed to play in because his club wouldn't release him.
And it's so silly.
It is silly, yeah.
Yeah. But they've released him on other games.
Yes, they have. They have.
You know, at internationals they normally release them.
During the windows. I think the window starts this week. So look, it was just a funny situation. The club's entitled to keep him behind.
Yeah.
You know, that's besides the point. I'm just saying that it was just funny that he was in the stands watching the game when he could have been on the field playing.
Yeah. That would have been a great improvement. Well, not improvement, but an asset.
Anything else you want to mention about the weekend, Gordon?
Not really. I've done the Farrell. I think the head coach should actually speak to him and ask him to become a proper sportsman. It's
just, you know, when he played here in South Africa, especially that second game where he was on the field, he didn't endear himself to South Africans. He was quite abrasive, quite rude.
He is an abrasive person.
And I'm not, and maybe that's what England want. But, you know, you can have some kind of grace in victory and in loss, you know, and you can see Bonan Barrett, who wins most of his games, doesn't act like that after the game.
No, definitely not. A gentleman.
You know? He's a gentleman. And that's all we're saying. I'm not taking anything away that he's a player, he's a good player, he knows how to kick, he's very good for Saracens, he's very good for England. But, you know, you can learn maybe to have a bit more respect.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's our show for the week. A bit of ranting and raving. I might do something. Obviously, I'm going to be doing something later on in the week, doing the previews for the coming weekend, and I may do something quite specific on the England-New Zealand game, because I think that's going to be the big game of the weekend. Even though South Africa's playing France, I still think England-New Zealand it's going to be the game of the weekend.
Folks, don't be upset about my criticism of Farrell. It's unbiased. It's how I feel, and I'm sure a lot of other people will feel the same. And it's not just this last game because they beat South Africa. I've watched him when he's been playing, and I look at the expressions on his face, and it's just not sporting.
No, I agree. Hey guys, well I hope you guys have a great week, and here's looking forward to a great weekend of rugby coming up. Thanks a lot, guys.
Once again, congratulations to England.
Yes, congratulations to England.
Have a good weekend. Good week.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers.